Dave B, you watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And we back once again doing a live demonstration of what's going on in the sky and the solar system. Y'all know we got the zodiac on the watch and shit like that. So let's talk about it. What's going on? We got Sun in Cancer, Moon in Taurus. Now, the transit previous was the moon in Aries, so it was creating this square, this cardinal square going on with Aries energies, and we know we still got Chiron up in there dealing with mistakes, and we had the North Node dealing with our spiritual path. The sun is next to Venus and Mercury. So what we love, appreciate, value, and how we communicate what's on our mind currently. Everything that's on our mind is based upon, or how we're thinking about it is determined about how we feel about it. You know what I'm saying? To make sure it's not getting so hot. But everything going on right now is like what's on our mind, how our mind is even able to break down information, relay information, is all being shaded by how you feel. So again, sensitive conversations, your mind is real sensitive at the moment. But hopefully in the previous transit, when Mercury was in Gemini, was going through that Gemini season, you develop that certain mental dexterity to handle different conversations, embrace different thoughts and different ways of people communicating, so that you have a better way of deciphering what's meant to maybe, you know, not be so not care so much about, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you'll have a little bit more mental strength around what you feel, so you don't get, you know, overtaken by those kind of emotional upbringing. But right now is a great time to keep a very close eye on what it is emotionally that we still react to, and what areas we may need more attention in terms of, you know, dealing with maybe some of the underlying causes of those issues and stuff like that. What's causing things to come out, what's causing things to kind of create that sensitivity still, what haven't you quite gotten all the way over. And it's like, it's an ongoing process. There's always going to be something new that kind of brings you back to something that at the root of it you was maybe traumatized by, or maybe didn't have the right understanding back then. And, you know, we learn new things and we grow as individuals. Now, with the moon, when the moon was in Aries, again, a lot of aggression might have been in the mix with that sensitivity, but it was a powerful internal energy, and it was going on the same time we was dealing with Saturn going retrograde. And I made a live talking a little bit about what to prepare for. But really, as the retrograde hits, really the definition of it and what it really means is, you know, a very deep priority check. And that's kind of going along with the energies today. It's like with the moon sliding into Taurus, now we are able to have a more practical vision of what's going on. Like, okay, now we're looking at the parameters and maybe some of the more set in stone details, right? We have the tendency to want to be stubborn at the moment. So again, this could be really great and positive for those who have the right perspective on things, those who've been planting good seeds, and who, you know, been building themselves up to take more care and be more in alignment with what it is that their heart is in, you know, is working towards, like their actual dream. Maybe you could see different things. And shout out to everybody who commented. Shout out Kareem, and shout out to, you know, Sharon. Lots of love to you too. But for the most part, when you understand like how Cancer and Taurus interact with each other, Taurus being where the moon is exalted. So again, keep in mind, this is we already dealing with a sensitive energy. This is a heightened sensitivity too, with the moon's exaltation. What up, Tess? You said, what's up, my guy? What's up, Jesse? You know, there's already an intense emotional, you know, sensitivity going on and shit like that. So when you're talking about, like, when we're dealing with this energy right now, we know that we have a heightened sensitivity. It's about how you direct that energy. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to use that sensitivity to still kind of to revert back into yourself? Because this is that energy that you can get real comfortable with mediocrity. You could get real comfortable with maybe not going as far with the things you've already been doing. Because keep in mind, like, now it's the summertime. So during the summertime, you have a choice, right? We can go outside, we can have a lot of fun, or we can be a little more mindful about maybe what we want to prepare ourselves for, to get ready and get things in alignment for the winter time, or for the fall time, I should say, when it's not as abundant. You know what I'm saying? So all this abundance going on outside, you have a choice. Do you want to indulge into pleasures and things that might not pan out to be as resourceful? Because when you're indulging in pleasures, you're using your resources, versus are you getting your ducks in a row? Are you taking care of business? Are you still going to work even though everybody else, you know all your friends is at the beach? You know, are you able to discern when it's time to, you know, buckle down and maybe take certain things a little more seriously about what you care about and nurturing certain things? Or are you going to kind of succumb to what everybody else is doing and maybe just having fun, but that fun might be a little premature? You know what I'm saying? It's like you just got your check. Do you really want to spend it all on these things, or do you want to maybe, you know, be a little more, you know, smart about how you go about spending what you just earned? You know what I'm saying? So he's on Giblin Baloo. You said, hey, would you ever miss someone whom you've never met in your life? There's no point to that. You know what I'm saying? There's no point to that. That it's like, you know, you probably created something in your mind that you idolizing at the moment, and you got to be careful with things like that, because that could lead you to take different actions that don't actually apply to anything, you know, moving you forward in actual life. You can disconnect yourself from reality in that form. Now, if you turn that into some kind of artistic pursuit, then that would be dope. You know what I'm saying? He said, all right, just because you asked, I'm not gonna say it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to what we talking about. So when we talk about the you know, Moon and Taurus going on, this is a good stabilizing energy. Now, Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, you know what I'm saying? You already know that damn, we lit today. Okay, cool. I see what's going on. Now, with the Moon in no, with Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, right? Dreams, imaginations, what we feel, all these different things that could look like creative sparks, high creative energies, versus the things that look like you know, delusions and maybe going down the wrong path based upon what you feel about something. You know, so when it comes to like Saturn is all about structure. It's all about what makes sense. It's all about reality, right? So what we've already been putting in place, let's say you have been kind of keeping yourself focused and doing things with a lot more discipline. Right now, you have a choice to make, right? Going into the summertime, we already talked about that Cancer energy switching gears. That Cancer energy being something that, okay, now we have to choose what to lock in on, what to focus our energy on, so that we can actually get some traction going in one direction. Saturn going retrograde is going to put a lot of past things in your face to say, okay, are you going to revert back to maybe more lazier tactics of going from point A to point B? Lazy tactics, like I was just saying about the Cancer Taurus energy, instead of honing in on maybe, you know, being a little more practical about how you expend your resources and putting more time and attention into nurturing what you're trying to build for yourself. You know, again, that takes discipline, that takes focus. Or are you going to be more on the just trying to have fun? So you're just going out and doing whatever, you know what I'm saying? You're just getting yourself engaged in any and everything, and it's not really anything pertaining to what you're trying to build for yourself. Those are going to be the choices presented to you. So it's like, okay, boom. When you understand, okay, so Saturn going retrograde, any planet going retrograde, it slows things down. So you need to assess really what have you been upholding as a responsibility, and whether or not that's actually still in alignment with what you're trying to build for yourself. Because a lot of us might have gotten into certain situations where we were doing something that maybe served a purpose at that moment in time that we started it. So let's say you started at a job, and at that time you really just needed a job, and you're trying to actually fund the things that you're trying to do outside of that job. But at the time, you know, you were still trying to get to that dream and goal, but you had responsibilities to take care of. That, again, that Saturn in Pisces. Saturn actually does well in Pisces in some form, because you're giving structure to your dream. You're giving structure to how you feel, and you're able to, you know, actually apply more discipline to that creativity aspect. But on the other end of it, you could choose to overindulge in maybe the delusion aspect, and then you restrict yourself from being able to connect to things that could actually get you stable. So you might have a little too much faith in the area. That's more of a delusion, versus Saturn and Pisces moving on the other end, where it's more positive. It's like now you can have more faith at having more patience to do the steps necessary to get whatever it is that you're trying to manifest yourself manifested. So it's like those two different sides of Saturn and Pisces, depending on if you're planting good seeds or you planting bad seeds. Now, if you're planting good seeds, right, that's going to look like energies of, so right now going retrograde, it's like it's a review. It's a review time for everything that you've been taking on as a responsibility. You get to review it. You get to look at yourself and say, okay, have I actually been disciplined when it comes to my approach to my dreams and imaginations? And if you have been, then this is going to be a good time still to readjust things, but it's going to be more of like a readjustment, small minor readjustments on maybe what you prioritize at the moment versus, let's say you've been on the bad side of this, where you look at what you've been doing and you say, damn, okay, everything that I've been maybe taking on as a responsibility has more so been building delusion in my life, right? And it could be real subtle. And this is very early on in the Saturn retrograde transit. So it's going on all the way until November. So you got to keep in mind that, okay, if at this moment in time, so it's going on all the way into November. So this is early on. Now, let's say you've been planting bad seeds. When you review what you've been taking on as a responsibility, it's like, it really is going to look like certain things like, damn, okay, when I started that, it served a purpose, but now I might need to switch up. If your feeling is too attached to what it is that you've been doing already, though, you might not want to put in the work that it takes to switch trajectories. You may not actually, you might miss the opportunity to do it because now it feels like so much more of a harder, it feels so much more difficult. And that's the thing. Saturn retrograde is going to turn up the heat a little bit. Like I was saying in the last live, it turns up the pressure. So it's like, it's going to feel that much more work to do something, but you're going to have to discern whether or not that's what it takes. Because it's like, if you're really trying to build something for yourself, at some point you have to accept, okay, boom, this is what it takes to do what it is I want to bring. Finally, some people I recognize. Shout out Jackie New, and shout out to Hayne Empress. Challenging your phone. You know it. Exactly. Appreciate you. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? New level with it. And that's just the first rush. So, when it comes to what we're trying to build for ourselves, it's like, again, we trying to build in that imaginary land. We trying to build in La La Land. So you have to make La La Land make sense at the moment, and the retrograde really can do things to benefit that. Like, a lot of people might talk about the retrograde in a negative way, but it's really just about understanding what you've already been participating with and what you've already been constructing in your life, and asking yourself whether or not that's actually helpful. Does that keep you on par? And again, time, when we talk about time, we can understand that time is not linear. So progress, you can't really judge progress on your linear path. Sometimes you have to look at, take a step back and understand that, like, boom, if I'm constructing, like, whatever I'm constructing, it's not about trying to do everything one after another. Sometimes I might have to go all the way over here in the timeline and build up a little bit over there. And then I have to maybe step back from that and catch this part of the timeline and develop what needs to be developed that way. So when we think about progress, think progress more into, like, instead of looking at it as one linear line, break it down into something that's multidimensional, where it's like, okay, if my overall goal is this, it's more about fulfilling the different spaces that make up the whole of what I'm trying to bring into my life. And shout out to Kiara, Jalen, Powell. You said, love catching your lives. The energy and message is unmatched. Appreciate you coming through. You know what I'm saying? Now more than ever, I need people who actually, who I know to come through, because right now we in that beginning stage where, since like my subscribers is going up high key, when I go live now, I'm getting hit with way more bots that's coming in to try to either distract me or to get the subject matter on something else. And it's all a mechanism, because you got to understand, when a lot of things, when things like this are happening, it means that individuals are watching, right? Individuals in different places and different spots and energies. And it's all about how you manage through different things like this. Because if you think about it in concept, if you can't handle a little bit of this, you ain't gonna be able to handle what certain individuals are able to give you access to. You know what I'm saying? But that's a different conversation. She said 234 on my clock. You already know 234. You know what I'm saying? So when get back on topic, right? So when we talk about yeah, that's in a nutshell what's going on with the Saturn retrograde. And remember, and see, a lot of things are happening right now. This is like a very potent energy that we're in the midst of, because, you know, shout out Inside 11. You already know, bro. I be seeing you on TikTok and I see your comments, man. I'm like, damn, this nigga made it. I was like, he on his way. But real shit, when we're talking about this energy, damn, it was like, you know, Saturn retrograde. Oh, this being a very important and potent time. And the reason is because, you know, already when we have water transits, you understand that water is one of the strongest ways, really the only access we have to manifesting things. When it comes to water, how we feel about it is what attracts things in the first place, right? It's the first thing that is actually responding to things, and then we use our air and earth after the fact to analyze and break down what we've received. But getting back to what I'm saying, so all this water is like, bam, okay, we have to not only ride the wave, we have to, shout out to Gabby Martinez, yes, you already know. So when we talk about like going through Cancer season, we know Cancer related to the moon. Again, a powerful energy. This moment in time, specifically with the moon in Taurus, the moon itself is exalted. So right now is the ultimate type of manifesting energy. And really just think of it as plant seed energy. Even though we're going through a waning period and we're not going through a waxing period where it's the time to actually manifest, think about this as getting the soil ready for what it is that you're trying to bring into your life, right? And right now you're just trying to make it make sense. So before this point in time, we was going down a certain path and we was just kind of doing what we needed to do to get things moving. That was like the whole Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini, we know that's not where Jupiter does its best, but Jupiter understands in Gemini, I have to work with what I have as information and do the best I can with it. You know what I'm saying? When you understand the difference between Gemini and Sag, Gemini's and you as a Gemini might not agree to this. Like, you might not do this as a behavior trait, right? So I'm not trying to generalize y'all, but Gemini energy is way more about getting the information first before diving into an experience, versus Gemini energy, which is like, I mean, versus Sagittarius energy, which is like, man, fuck the instructions. Let me do it first and get my hands dirty so that I can actually learn the inner workings and dynamics and develop wisdom to know what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Sagittarius don't want to waste time. It's like, why read the instructions when I can just jump in? And we both know the positive and negative that come with both sides of this. But when you have Jupiter, the planet of Gemini, in Sagittarius, Jupiter, the planet of Sagittarius, in Gemini, then you have a dynamic where you're kind of doing the opposite to get the job done. So, you know, with Jupiter and Gemini, it's a lot more of stumbling. And that's why I was saying before, like, even with this transit, be mindful of people's advice at the moment. Because when people are giving you advice, if you're looking to that advice to give you the keys of what to do and what not to do, you might miss the point, or you might overweight or overshoot your judgment of an experience before you get into it, and then it proves you wrong. And we have to be accepting of being wrong, but that's the thing. You can kind of save yourself some time if you jump into it, but keep your eyes peeled. Because what Jupiter and Gemini can do is it can expand not only communication, right? So while you're going through something, the more you speak up and the more you listen, right? Because you can speak all day, but you got to actively be listening to different information and different conversations going on that might not be directly pointed to you or in the style of communication you're used to. This is like picking up on body language, everything. If you don't keep your eyes peeled, you might miss out on things that can make your life a little more difficult. But if you got your eyes open and you can listen and catch those many little ways of communicating that you might not be familiar with, but you can get yourself familiar with, if you can open your eyes to that you're going to be a monster right now. You're going to be on par. You're going to be in alignment. You're going to be able to move a lot faster than another individual who still might be trying to listen but not actively moving at the same time. You know, they don't know how to listen and move with it. They only looking at it, trying to get the whole perspective before they jump in, or they think they know and they choose to not communicate while they're going through it, and then they miss out on more information that can help them with what they're doing. You know, so with Jupiter and Gemini, it's like, it's powerful energy because it's really just being aware, having your ears open and your eyes open to catch the details as they get passed down to you. You know what I'm saying? You have to be very active mentally right now. It's like mental stimulation is one of the things right now that can even be used against you. Because if you understand, like, all these social media channels and everything, like just like how y'all see my comments just now, we at a time right now where it's like how they said attention spans is like deteriorating. We at a time right now that, you know, if you get lost in the spam of it, and if you get lost in the rapid fire of things, it's like you can kind of like, it can throw you completely off. You know what I'm saying? You have to really understand, like, okay, even when it comes to information, like you go on social media, you got Twitter and stuff like that, you got Instagram. It's so much things being put on, so much content, that before you know it, you can find yourself, how they call it, doom scrolling and stuff like that. You can find yourself so engulfed in other people's information, things that have nothing to do with what you're trying to do. And before you know it, you've wasted a certain amount of time on something that don't apply to nothing. And right now, again, that's like, that's part of the psyop too. You're so distracted. Everyone is so distracted at the moment. So many different things. Boom. You know, oh shit, shout out to Steve's Visuals, man. Yeah, it was good, bruh. What's good, man? Hope you doing good. And then you said fan comes in and brings the live right back on target. Right. Exactly. That's how it's supposed to be. But right now it's like, if you don't have ways to quiet your mind, if you don't have any focus, no goal, no purpose, no mission, then you could be you could be subject to getting thrown off, man. You know what I'm saying? You have to keep in mind, like, everything we developed in Gemini season was really about mental dexterity, being able to deal with these many different mediums of information and content, but still stay on par with what you're here to do, what you're here to communicate. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what really matters. And that's where the spiritual warfare is happening. It's like, the problem is the focus, you know, and or what they're using to get you thrown off is your focus, you know, and that's the only thing they really have. Like, even like the debate, what was the point of the debate other than to get your mind on what they wanted to talk about? You know what I'm saying? No real information was determined from that. And again, if you still in that voting program, you already lost. So it's pure entertainment. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah. You know it's saying, got to get people mind right, bro, because everything is everything, I don't know, man. It's like we in a world right now where we gotta really stay focused on what we're trying to build and come together, man. Salute to you, bro. Shout out to the vision. And Anaya the Kerr, I know I said that wrong probably. You said, I really feel demoralized after using Instagram and Facebook. You know, and that's the thing, you can't put your morals in it. You know, you got to understand that Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter, these things are tools. And what's happening right now is people just misusing the tools based upon what they initially thought the tool was for. Like, you got to understand, right? When you first got on Instagram, when you first got on Facebook, it was a thing completely different than what it is now. All things changed. So you have to understand that over time, it's just changed. When they introduced ads, it became more about business. And the more and more the world got engulfed into it, it turned into more of a dating thing or a relationship thing. It became more of an entertainment feed. You know what I'm saying? It's an initial purpose was something completely different. But you got to understand, certain platforms and businesses change based upon the hands that they shake along the way. So, you know, again, you're probably, and not just to single you out, all of us are using these tools for the wrong things, and we have to just take a step back and understand, what do we need to use it for now. Right now, it's great for business, it's great for connecting and building community, but understand that things continue to shift. So again, it's great for building community now, but in 2 years it's going to be for something else. It's going to be for, maybe data farming, getting people's minds to think a certain way. That's what it seems like it's going towards. That's why you see an increase in the number of bots. It's like, if your intentions of getting on even YouTube, your intentions of getting on YouTube 10 years ago got to be different than they are now. 10 years ago, the platform wasn't really it's not what it is now. Let me see, what would 10 years ago be? That'd be 2014. So we didn't have such a strong monetization, policies and things like that. You know, there wasn't so much a you know, going live and stuff like that wasn't as popular. People weren't using their channels to you know, really do anything other than maybe, you know, again, I don't even think going live was a thing till maybe 2015. I don't know the exact dates, but my point is, back then, you know, people weren't going live for the reason they're going live now. And being that the platform itself has become such a you know, a conduit of, or it's like so much information on it, you know what I'm saying? People can, so many different things you can learn from YouTube. And there's so much money in YouTube just based upon what it can do for people. You know, it became a, you know, when influencers became a thing, the reason that these platforms are operated that way is because influencer culture made everything about branding. And y'all know where there's branding, there's narrative, and when there's narrative, there's political interest. So it's like, you know, it's the money and then politics, and then everything starts to become, you know, all these different things piled on or introduced into the mix change the whole chemistry of it. So how we interact with it has to be different. It has to be it has to be something that, you know, respects the nature of what it is, but at the same time aligns with what we are trying to do with it. And that's kind of like the balance that I feel like a lot of people don't get. It's like when you're engaging with these things of the world, the most intelligent way you can go about it is to understand what it was made for and by who it was made. So the intended audience and who created it, who started it. And then, and when I say who, I mean, you can search the individual, but it's really about the energy and the essence, right? And you understand the purpose and the function of it. Then you understand, you can separate yourself and say, well, what can I use that energy for? And then now you have a balance between your own intention and being able to engage with something of the world, but you can keep that separation that keeps you from getting lost in it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. People get lost in it because they don't know what they're doing it for. You on Instagram, but you don't know what you on Instagram for. So you fall victim to the different things and dynamics that are naturally you know, naturally accessible to you on that platform. Like, you know, whether you know, wasting money on ads, whether you're engulfed in the, you know, whoever you're following, whether you are trying to use it as a dating app, whether you're trying to use it as a, whatever you're trying to use it for. It's like, to each their own. You can use it for whatever you want to use it for, but understand what you're trying to do and what the platform was made and designed to do, the function of it. That way you can have a more curated experience on there. And that's the whole point of even an algorithm. People got all kinds of shit in their algorithm and they don't realize it's because they don't know what they're using the platform for. You can still curate these things, you know. And as far as you getting your content out and you accessing the algorithm, that's why you have to know what it is that you're trying to say and what the general, you know, what that position is in the world. You know, if I'm talking about astrology, okay, a lot of people talk about astrology. What about what I'm trying to say through astrology matters? And I need to make that not only the face of my content, but I also need to implement that into the titles, into the marketing, into the comment section, how I engage with the audience, X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? But that's kind of a different conversation, more so about, you know, engaging and interacting with the world. But, you know, when we talk about this energy right now, it's very potent because, you know, we're trying to, you know, it's the summertime, so we're trying to buckle down and hone in on what we sparked off in the spring. So we gave new life to new ideas and ways of being in the spring. Now we have to make that work, and it's not always the most comfortable. And that's the point of Cancer and it being a cardinal energy to begin with. We need cardinal energies to be able to deal with the friction of trying something new. So that's what we have to lean into right now. So, but the retrograde in Pisces, again, can get right there into your mind and be like, wait a minute, you know, again, we have to assess things, but with a sober mind. You know what I'm saying? If your mind is still caught up in maybe how you feel about this or how you feel about that, and different biases that's coming from an unconscious or I should say a subconscious space based upon, you know, fear, you're afraid of doing something. You really have to check that. You know what I'm saying? What are you afraid of at the moment, and what is it leading you to? What is it trying to convince you out of? Because when you woke up, your spirit decided on something, but it's usually our second thought and our feelings that come after it, and maybe what we're afraid of, that alter what that initial thought, idea, goal was. And we know that it's all about, you know, when we go against the farther thought, then we create issues in the family, and we can't properly manifest at that point. That manifests a lot of like half situations where you kind of halfway got what you wanted, but there's another half of, you're like, what can I do with this? I can't use this. Confusion energy, you know what I'm saying? It's better to make a decision and go through the difficulty of kind of falling short than it is to not do it at all, or procrastinate to the point where it becomes a yearning, and it becomes such a deep desire that it's that much more difficult to not only to play out, you know what I'm saying? It becomes that much harder to even identify with, you know, when you understand the dynamic between Scorpio and Aries. You know, the deeper you know, the more you take something and put it in the dark, it's like the more it becomes difficult to identify with it. That's the inconjunction between the first house and the eighth house. You know, things you keep so deeply behind closed doors, you don't identify with that. So that could be, you know, you know, think about a child who goes through a traumatic experience, and they you know, that thing you do where you push it out of your conscious mind so far, so deep, that, you know, it's I forgot what they call it. It's like a forgotten memory, or damn, what is it? It's like a repressed memory. That's what it is. Repressed memory. And like, when you understand what a repressed memory does within you, within the spirit or within the body, a repressed memory, it creates a separation between who you are, your identity, and the things you've been through. Because if these things aren't communicating properly, you lose pieces of yourself. And this develops into things like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, where your sense of self is now fragmented. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it is because of maybe certain repressed memories that created such a gap between who you are and what's beneath the surface, that, you know, you lose connection, and it kind of, you know what I'm saying, that misalignment, it goes haywire. So, you know, we have to keep that in mind when it comes to certain things that we're going through, how to keep things on par and on track. You said, hi, my nephew arrived on this planet this morning. In doing so, he made me an auntie. God is good. Hey, shout out to the new spirits on the land. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All infinite grace and prosperity to the young one. That's beautiful. Shout out Joel. But you know, when we come to when we are dealing with this energy and why it's so potent. So, you know, again, our emotional state at the moment, where we're trying to get more comfortable with these changes going on, and we've made a decision, so we now have to accept the responsibilities of that decision and feel into it right now. Now, with that comes you know, again, look at your priorities. Look at how you got things aligned. How can you put things into a system that that works and makes sense? You know what I'm saying? That's going to be kind of the purpose and point right now, with the Saturn retrograde intertwined with everything going on this Cancer season. Now, we also got the Neptune getting ready to go retrograde as well. So when it comes to our dreams and imaginations and what we're even seeing on that level, we have to keep you know, we have to understand that our dreams are about to change too. So along with your priorities, your dreams are about to go through an update. That's going to be a couple weeks down the line, maybe, or it might be days. I think it's like early July that Neptune goes into retrograde before it goes into Aries. We'll talk about that more specifically when it comes, but understand this time period that we're going on right now is very important for us to get the foundation of these things correct. You know what I'm saying? Saturn being in Pisces and that going through retrograde, these are all things that are dealing with the foundation, you know, the actual source of what we're trying to construct for ourselves, and whether or not that can work and make sense in reality. You know, even though we're dealing with dreams and things that might not be right in front of us. You know, Mars being in Taurus, even though it feels a little, see, when we might not be able to identify where the frustration is coming from, is because in Taurus, that slow, steady, you know, grind, that thing can kind of get on our nerves. But we need to understand at this moment in time that the slow and steady is really saving us at the moment. You know, us being able to really get to the root of what it is we're trying to plant as a seed. You know what I'm saying? And no real pun intended, but y'all feel what I'm saying. It's like that Mars right now, when it comes to our passions, it's a buildup of things. And anything we try to do too fast or act too impulsively on is going to kind of go against our favor. Now, we might do the impulsive thing based upon the discomfort and the fear and not wanting to go through certain things. So we have to be mindful of that. That's what I mean by that tension. And that's really what the moon in Aries kind of might have brought out of you, is like this passionate energy that, you know, you might not have been feeling the days before, because we've been dealing with so much water and earth. It's like you might not have been feeling the passion like that, but here come that moon in Aries kind of activating that Chiron, very susceptible to mistakes that we could have made. But at the end of it all, the Saturn retrograde is saying, okay, well, you know, whatever is being awakened inside of us to re-spark that interest, does it, you know, is what we're doing as a responsibility at the current moment, does it make sense for that? Does it make sense what I'm passionately into? It's like there's a reason why I feel this frustration and I feel this friction. What I'm doing, I've been walking this steady pace, but is this actually building the house I'm trying to build for myself? Is this actually the right resources? And so things might change on that end. You might change how you get in a certain resource. So you might change what you're doing with your actual time at the moment, because it's really a question of investment. What are you investing in at the moment that is going towards something? You might not feel like that investment is worth it at the moment. And again, going to what I was saying about understanding time as, you know, multidimensional, and understanding like, okay, I needed it, you know, time is more so of a resource of how you spend energy. So, you know, okay, I just need to spend more time on this as opposed to what I was spending my time on previously. Previously, I was into this. I was investing too much time into that. And again, that too much time, not necessarily a bad thing. I needed to spend that much time in that. I needed to spend time at that job. I needed to put in overtime, even though I wasn't doing my creative endeavors. That overtime gave me enough money to experience a little more off time right now to then replace my time, aka my expendable energy, into this realm. And now me spending more time and energy into this, I'm able to develop something that's more in alignment to what I'm trying to build. And this is going to kind of change because, you know, keep in mind, like I said, like Pisces being a mutable energy, are how we use our time has to change. And shout out to Mooney Mercury, baby, because he had a tweet that was saying something similar to that. Like, you know, you don't have to do the same routine the same way every time. Sometimes you have to switch it up. Maybe the same things involved in that routine, but do them at different times and at different rates to get different results, you know. And you have to change with life, you know. And that's why Virgo is rules the 6th house, and why routine schedule is all mutable, because you have to be mindful on how to expend that physical energy, because we only have a limited amount of it. You know what I'm saying? So that limited amount of physical energy, how can we move it? How can we use it? What's the best way of going about it? That might change over time, you know. Now let's get into specific alignments. So when the moon is in Taurus, right, it's making a sextile with the sun, Mercury, and Venus. So again, dangerous energies with moon in dangerous for you know, the good reasons, you know, right? But again, okay, let me explain it. So moon in Taurus, sextile and Venus in Cancer. We have the opportunity to indulge in, I mean, completely overindulge into things that make us comfortable, which again, comfortability at a time where there needs to be growth sometimes can be counterproductive. So again, if, you know, honor that energy. So if you have the time and space, especially it's a Sunday, you know what I'm saying? If you got the time and space, do some self-care things, you know what I'm saying? Do some reflecting. I think this is good energy to do some proper reflecting, right? Meditation in any form that involves, you know, you in a peaceful state and you being able to be comfortable in your own skin and in your body. And good energy to kind of get some more anxiety out you, you know? And what you want to do with that clarity, it's really up to you, but a good use of that clarity would be to decipher your responsibilities, analyze your responsibilities, and decipher whether or not you know, may need to switch it up, and what areas you might want to switch it up, you know, what needs more attention, what needs more care, what needs more nurturing, because there's many things you might be involved in, but if you don't have the proper, you know, perception of it, if you don't know where you want to direct that, this is a good energy to at least quiet your mind, so that when you are able to activate again and come into your body again, you'll have more, you'll be able to make a decision with more clarity. So this is good self-care energy. But on the negative end, if you know you got certain things to get done, make sure those things get done. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you don't take this energy and run with it, where you spend too much time relaxing. You spend too much time indulging in comfortability, especially if you already been planting bad seeds and being comfortable, being lazy, not really getting up to it. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have to really keep that in mind at the moment. So don't get too caught up in that. You know what I'm saying? Be like, you know, be responsible, you know, is really the key right now. And again, we got the moon sextiling Saturn as well on the other end of this. You know, this is really good healing energy for making some more sense. And again, even like to some degree, you might need to appreciate what it is that you have done for yourself, because you've come a long way. So this is good energy also to sit with yourself and be proud of certain things that you was able to accomplish, certain cycles you was able to you know, push through, certain cycles you was able to break. You know, honor yourself in that manner too, because that might be energy you need to keep you inspired and in good spirits during this time where we need to buckle down and we need to, you know, get ourselves prepared for the continuation of this fight, the spiritual warfare. You know, again, our attention right now is being directed every which way, and we know what they want our minds on. You know what I'm saying? It's the election season, so they really, you know, that y'all know they turn it up in July. You know what I'm saying? They turn it up in July 4th. Oh shit, especially at this time, we don't know what's gonna happen. I think even, is it a new moon around that time too? Because the moon is in what, Taurus. We still got yeah, we still got Gemini, and then after Gemini is Cancer, and that's 2 days, so that's really like 6 days, and we on the, yeah, so that's gonna be, you know, it might be a little bit after, but still, that could mean that around that time it could be something that happens that gets people's minds, you know, susceptible, some kind of things that takes people's attention, and they'll use the next following days when the new moon actually comes into place to push that into action. Because y'all got to understand, they look at these things the same way we do. They got their plans. So whatever it is you think you planning, they got their plans. And y'all see society been running the way it's running. They already been moving their plans and doing what they do. But when it really comes to this energy, right, one thing we have to keep in mind, so sun in, yeah, I was talking about the moon sextiling this, the moon sextiling not only the Saturn energy, so getting comfortable, also being able to get comfortable with reality to the point where you can decipher it properly. You know what I'm saying? Because that's another thing too. Like if you're not looking at reality at the moment for, because like right now it's like, this is energy where you can start to maybe feel like you're not doing enough, because that Pisces energy kind of deals with that self-doubt shit. So it's like, try not to, you know, that's why I said be in a space where you kind of get in that clarity on an emotional level, where you kind of sitting with yourself and you appreciating the things that you have been able to do. Because looking at this energy too, like, you know, looking at yourself too harshly at this time, again, you can stagnate yourself and it can do more harm than good. You have to learn how to talk to yourself. Hopefully during Gemini, you learned a little bit of how to talk to yourself in a more encouraging way. But for the most part, you know, however you looking at yourself, you know, there's a buckle down energy, but then there's also like it needs to be an energy where you can, you know, sit with yourself and really, you know, before I move forward, is this actually where I want to go? So the moon is also going to, on the other end, sextile Mercury. That's what we haven't talked about yet. So moon sextile and Mercury is the opportunity to make more sense about how you feel about your thoughts at the moment. So that's kind of what's going on right now. It's like you need the emotional support, and since the moon itself is in a earth energy and the sun is in a watery energy, the moon right now playing as a sextile to all these different planets is kind of like the emotional support that makes things make sense. This is a fixed energy, so it's all about solidifying things. We've already been making the decision and moving in that pattern, but now it's like we have to buckle down on it. We have to accept what it is that we're choosing as a path, and now it's time to secure ourselves within that. You know, that's going to be like planting good seeds at this moment, where you can bring your thoughts and feelings together. You can make your feelings on something make more sense, so you can now feel more comfortable and secure in it, confident in it. So now it's like, boom, okay, I could walk that path with the right emotional disposition to do what I need to do properly. Because think about it, like when you do something and let's say you're not in the right vibration of it, sometimes you can fake the funk, and sometimes it's necessary, because you really don't need to wait till you feel good to do something to do it. You know, you need to be powerful enough as a spirit to do it and develop the feelings in the moment. But at the same time, if you can, the faster you can have the emotional support of doing whatever you're doing, the better you're gonna be at doing it. You know what I'm saying? When you don't got your heart in something, people can tell. You know what I'm saying? Like when you playing a sport, you ain't got your heart in it. You could tell, because you don't make certain decisions that reflect that. You're lazy on certain plays. You know what I'm saying? You lack the in the moment instinct to attack certain times and do certain things. And again, same thing with art and music and stuff like that, or any art you do. If your heart not in it, people can tell, and that's why your work might not be received as well. You need to check your emotional stance on it, because you might not feel. And then again, you could be really wanting to do something in that field, but you don't feel that you capable, or you don't feel like you got what it takes, or you don't feel as good about what you produce in that space then you should. You know what I'm saying? You gotta really feel intact with what it is you're trying to put out. Again, you can't see it if you're not willing to be it. And if being it, part of being it, the major part of being it is the emotional state behind it. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, so that's the key right now with the moon in Taurus, and what it can do positively for us. On the negative, it can keep you stubborn on certain things, not wanting to change, not wanting to feel anything. You know what I'm saying? Where you kind of block yourself out from feeling, and instead you replace it with some kind of busy work or some kind of form of logic that keeps you kind of still cold and distant from what it is that you're trying to develop. But you're really just creating distance and resistance within yourself. You know what I'm saying? You creating sluggish energy. And again, moon next to Mars, moon conjunct to Mars, again, you can start to have aggression and anger towards things that may be taking too long, or things that trigger insecurity or instability. You know, you might start blaming the job you at for not paying enough and keeping you distracted and things like that. You might start, you know, getting frustrated at how little you make as far as money or material things that you don't see coming your way yet. You might get impatient and impulsive at a time where, again, like I said before, patience and your ability to stay stable on one thing to develop it is really your key source of currency at the moment. You know, moon also going to be conjunct Uranus, so feeling comfortable with well, it's going to be later on, like more so tomorrow energies that is going to be conjunct. But Uranus being such a big energy, we're going to feel a little bit of it. And it's the moon, it's almost like having the power of feeling comfortable as an individual. So, you know, if you've been honest with yourself, you've been authentic, you know, you got some major currency to work with. You know what I'm saying? You should start to, it's like that susceptible energy to start manifesting things that kind of prove you right. To be like, yeah, damn, okay, I was being myself and I see how it's paying off. You see the practical means of it. You see it coming through in some form of being able to be more secure with your decision, you know, your individual decision. You know, if you've been looking at other people and what they trying to do with certain things, you might fall short at this energy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really about your ability to be an individual and to, you know, lean into your uniqueness. Moon is going to be, yes, right next to that. We talked about the Pisces energy. We talked about the Cancer energy. What else we got? We got Mars. Yeah, we talked about Aries. We talked about Pisces. We talked about Aquarius. Yeah, Moon squaring Pluto at the moment. So again, learning from an emotional change, learning from some or an emotional transformation. Whatever we went through previously, going from when the moon was in Aries, you know, the reaction from that and what we now have to work with is going to be a matter of us learning how to you know, learning how to feel and make sense out of what emotional transformation we had to go through. Like I said before, right now is like decision making time. And really what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for when the new moon hits, so that whatever it is that we want to lock in on, we've already sorted out our feelings on the matter. And that's why it seems right now I keep saying making a decision. It's because part of making a decision is also feeling, it's like aligning your mind and your heart with it. So part of making a decision is getting more comfortable and accepting of what you've chosen, because by choosing something, you sacrifice other things, you know, and that's kind of the biggest thing. Sacrifice is also big too. You know, that's part of that Saturn retrograde. We have to reassess what we've sacrificed in the past and choose what we need to sacrifice now, whether that looks like the same thing or if it's something completely different. You know, sacrifice is really, you know, if you want to really measure your ability to manifest, consider what you're choosing to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Those who choose a lot to sacrifice, and again, I'm not in sacrifice, y'all know, like, this, you know, y'all can get into the spookism and be like, you know, oh, this person talking about this. Y'all know what I'm really talking about though. It's like certain things within you, habits, attention, thoughts, feelings about certain things that you're stuck in, all things like that. You have to sacrifice these things, literally take these things and destroy them, offer them, you know, offer them up. You know what I'm saying? By doing that with grace and with a proper attitude, again, you be so surprised, because that's the thing about the world. It's all about fulfillment, and a lot of us be carrying too much to actually have new things be put into our life, and you wonder why things don't change for you, or it seems like a lot of things don't shift. And it's because you're probably not giving up a lot. You're probably doing the same things, keeping the same things around as far as thoughts and feelings, and, you know, around the same people, so you're getting the same results. So of course you're not going to see major change. Also, you're not going to see a lot of movement because you're carrying too much. You need to trade some of these things in, get these things up. You know what I'm saying? That's respectable as a spirit. Like, other spirits can respect that. God can respect that. All possibilities can respect that. You know, and that's really the ultimate sign of faith, which is why even when we look at the 12th house, we think of the 12th house as the house of loss. And it's like, when you think about loss and grieving and things like that, what that means, you know, I got a song on the album I'm finna drop, you know, going into grief and praise and things like that. And this, you know, I'm gonna wait till y'all hear it to really, you know, understand the message in it. But a lot of that is 12th house energy, and a lot of that is all about, you know, it's funny because it's in and of itself is the understanding of mortality in a limited time. You know what I'm saying? And it's ironic that we're dealing with, I would say, you know, when we think about Saturn is like the king of the mortals in a way, because, you know, even being in a position it is in the whole planetary alignment, you know, the furthest away, you know, right before you get to the outer planets, the gatekeeper almost, you know what I'm saying, the last mortal, you know, mortal energy, time being finite, you know what I'm saying, and when your time is up, it's over, you know what I'm saying. Capricorn, the death card, all those things being a sync, you know what I'm saying. And, you know, but Saturn and Pisces, again, sacrifice and what you willing to give up, what you willing to give death to. I might have misspoke about the death card and shit like that, but I think it is the Capricorn card, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. But you know, when we look at all these different things and their alignments to each other and how they interact and respond to each other, that's how you understand kind of what's going on at the moment with yourself. And with all these energies, you look at the house they're in and you decide for yourself what needs to be sacrificed in this area in order for this area of my life to flourish. You know what I'm saying? When you got a garden, you have to be mindful of what's growing where. Certain weeds grow in certain areas. They can cause pain or death or strain on a different area of your garden or that same area. And so you have to remove what needs to be removed. You need to give proper space to things. You have to organize them. And right now, that's really what's going on with our dreams and imaginations. We have to organize these things. And along with dreams and imaginations, remember, Pisces is also faith. It's also belief, morality. So we have to organize these things. We have to assess these things and discipline ourselves and say, okay, what do we need to restrict? There's certain belief systems you need to now restrict and sacrifice for new ones to be developed and established as systems. You might need a whole better belief system. So you need to you know, see how does these processes work when I'm believing in something, when I have faith in something, and I'm encountering a bout of doubt, when I'm going through an experience of writer's block, when I'm going through a disappointment or a rejection in my life, how do I respond to that based upon my moral and belief system? Because people don't realize, okay, yeah, we all got to go through the rejections, right? Very cliche. But what does your belief system do when you experience rejection? And that right there is a deeper level of understanding these processes within us, because you might just say, oh yeah, we all got to go through the rejection and we accept it, and yeah, you know what I'm saying, you got to be proud of rejection, because it you know what I'm saying, all spiritual practitioners, you know, we have to take that lesson, we have to give that lesson, right? You know, hey, we got to accept rejection. But what does it mean, getting a little bit deeper into what that, you know, what is the belief system you have when you experience certain things like rejection? Because you can accept rejection, but the belief system behind it, how long does it take for you to develop a better feeling around it? You know, when you get hit with rejection, where does it take you subconsciously? And how you know, when we get to that space, what thoughts and feelings are you able to, you know, apply to that to keep you from spending too much time in that area? You know what I'm saying? And what you know, other beliefs about yourself are you able to, you know, cling on to at times where you need to bring your spirit to a higher space? You know what I'm saying? How do you know, how much faith do you really have in yourself and the people around you? How much faith do you really have in that thing? And how do you practice that faith? How do you practice what you preach? You know what I'm saying? And again, practicing that faith is like, we make decisions all the time that prove to ourselves and God that we do not believe what we say we believe. We do not have faith in that thing that we say we have faith in. We do not, you know what I'm saying? So we have to kind of look at that aspect of ourselves and say, well, damn, do I really practice that? Do I really walk in that truth? And do I hold myself accountable to when I do fall short in that area? Because again, like I said, falling short is great, because it shows you who you are and what you're made of. Because from falling short, you have to, again, it's always a choice. You either gonna get back up or you gonna lay there. And a lot of people lay there and blame everybody else for choosing to get up again. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's true. Now, when we talk about, you know, this energy in the whole, and my point of it all, you know, right now, this is these leading moments before we entered another phase of intense retrogrades. Because before you know it, you're gonna look up and be like, damn near everything is in retrograde. And this retrograde is also the preamble before a lot of these energies switch signs as far as outer planets go. Uranus going into Gemini, Neptune going into Aries, and Saturn going into Aquarius officially. No, not Saturn, Pluto going into Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? So that's all the generational planets. So you got to understand that we fixing to get into this new era. But a lot of what we going through is these individual battles. You know what I'm saying? When we in our own space, these individual battles are determining how we're able to connect with each other better. And we can't lose that sense, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, everything that the government does, everything society shows us are things to divide, you know what I'm saying, based upon class, outlook, you know, race, whatever you want to call it. So we have to keep in mind, how do we stay together? And staying together, part of it is doing a lot of this internal processing, doing a lot of this internal work, and keeping a clear idea and focus on what it is that we're trying to do as individuals and what we're building for ourselves on these individual levels and in our each own respective spaces. So, you know, don't lose sight of that. Moon and Taurus, Sun and Cancer, really the point of it all is analyzing these priorities we have and applying proper care to understand what needs to change. You know what I'm saying? What do we need to invest more care and nurturing into versus what we may need to separate from and take a little bit more time and distance on, you know. And now all of those things matter at the moment. So, you know, but in the meantime too, make sure you're getting the proper amount of healthy self-care, you know what I'm saying, tending to yourself and really listening to what is going on within you, because that's going to give you the type of answers you need to decide further, you know, to put more context behind your decision, put more you know how they say it's about making an educated guess, so putting more education behind the guesses that you make, and keep you more vigilant at a time. Like I said, so many distractions, you know. Right now we need to stabilize on what we want to care about, and that's why I said priorities, you know what I'm saying. Stabilize on what you want to care about, so that the next energy we know is going to be Gemini. So it's going to be about communicating these things. It's going to be about having conversations about these things, being able to share these things. And remember, like, also a key word of Taurus is value. So being comfortable with value, how much you value something, that's part of prioritizing too. The rank of things, you know, the order and alignment you're doing things in, you know, what really matters to you. And hopefully you choose the right things so that you can bring those things closer to you, versus, you know, a person who might be on the other end of this energy and you're too much in the yearning space, and so everything feels like it's away from you, you know what I'm saying. Hopefully you're not in that or going through that kind of experience, because that's hard on a spirit, you know what I'm saying, to feel like it has to yearn everything, because that's taking the magic of the spirit and you're basically putting too much energy or faith into the body, and the body can't really do much with faith. You know what I'm saying? The body is for work in the present. You know what I'm saying? The body is for processing things in the present. Spirit is for, you know, faith and seeing things that it can't see. The body, when the body starts to think too much about what to believe in and faith, sometimes it can confuse, you know what I'm saying? Because then we start doing things and we start feeling, because everything through the body is seen as limited, as on a time frame, or we want to get there, you know what I'm saying, when we gonna get there, that's what the body, that's when you put too much faith in the body, you know, needing other hits of dopamine to fulfill that journey. That's what the body yearns. That's what happens when you put too much faith in the body. You start searching for what you're trying to build for yourself as a goal, vision, purpose. You start to you know, use the different things and pleasures of the body, whether that's drugs, you know, getting too involved in sex and stuff like that, porn and stuff. You start using the body to give you that sensation that your spirit is like trying to develop for you. And so that's why they say getting involved in certain things, you lose your soul, or you diminish your spirit, because it's like your spirit, it starts to be like, well, what am I here for? Because everything you're using the body to have the sensations that the spirit is trying to build for you. See, when you do it the right way, the proper way, and you use your spirit to bring things to you, right, and you're able to operate back up, you know, operate there in a healthy way, you have faith in what your spirit sees, and you use your body for present things, getting up and getting the job done, you have less of that interference. You know what I'm saying? You're able to actually get there. You know, you're able to know, the body is able to know what's necessary to sacrifice versus what it's feeling. You know what I'm saying? So you're able to do certain things without getting fatigued. You know what I'm saying? You're able to actually, you know, plan out your day better and stuff like that, do things physically, you know. But I digress, you know what I'm saying, going on and on about that shit. Hopefully, again, this was helpful to y'all on your journey. You know, we got the 717 conference coming up July 13th in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? We dropping flyers now. So if you've been, you know, signed up to be a volunteer, or you planning to perform or be a vendor, you know, make sure you send us your information, your photo, a logo, so that we can start, you know, we putting out flyers and stuff like that now. So just be on the lookout for those. If you're still looking to get tickets, they are still available. I'm gonna put it in the description. What else? Yeah, that's the main points and stuff like that. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but you know, it's gonna be real dope. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have those live performances. We're gonna have people coming in and out, you know, speakers and things like that. We're gonna get a panel set up, astrology panel, probably a relationship panel, to talk about certain things that's going on in the world and what's going on with each other, you know what I'm saying, coming together, eating some good food. It's gonna be a good time, so make sure y'all don't miss it. Slide through. What else, man? Oh yeah, and Equinox 3 is dropping sooner than you think. You know what I'm saying? Might do a little surprise drop and shit like that. So be on the lookout for Equinox 3. yeah, other than that, much love, and I'll catch you on the next one. Also, my website is back up. I'm gonna do some, I gotta do some renovating on it, but for the most part, if you are interested in getting a reading from me, just email me at 717conference.info@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If y'all new, go hit that subscribe, and yeah, all right, much love, catch you on the next one. Peace.